So our title of the exhibit this year is The Power of Nature, Plug Into It.
So the biggest thing that we've been doing is a lot of moving. When it comes to preparing plants for the flower show, a big factor is temperature. And so we've had to do a lot of moving between the freezer outside, the greenhouse here, the hoop house outside. Lots of moving, lots of careful attention to plants.
I originally had never gone to the flower show until last year, and it was something just amazing to look at and see all the work that goes in behind it, specifically how the Arboretum did it. So getting the chance to work on that more is just actually amazing. Knowing how many people it will affect and people will be able to see the amazing design that the junior studio put together is just great, and I love that I can help with that no matter how small of a part it is.
So there's two concepts we're looking at. One is a color theme, which our theme is yellow, so looking at that. And then also looking at early succession. So our exhibit is representing a power plant that is being reclaimed by nature, so looking for plants that we'd find in an early successional forest.
I've learned a lot about what it takes to force a plant. I'd never really learned much about the processes of how you were able to get a plant to leaf out and flower so quickly. I'd mostly just learned other biological processes, not so much how to apply them for a specific date, time.
Since our exhibit theme has yellow as a color theme, when we went to pick plants, we were looking for things that both had yellow flowers as well as yellow foliage. So that would include things like daffodils as well as heucheras and other yellow foliage plants.
So what's next is pretty much just more moving around, more paying attention, making sure they look nice, pruning, keeping them in the conditions they need in order to flower and look nice for the show.
So every year, one of the things we try to do is grow really tall plants so that we can stand out on the show floor. And inevitably that involves trees. So this year we're doing some returning favorites of oaks. So we have a white oak and a red oak. Both of these are within about 6 inches of the greenhouse roof, so about the tallest tree that we can force in here. We're also doing some river birches, which we've done in the past as well, which are in the tent behind me. With the goal of trying to highlight unique plant combinations and make colors stand out, one of the plants we're growing this year is Physocarpus opulifolius, a 9-bark. And this is a cultivar that has very dark chocolatey colored foliage when it's mature. So this will be contrasting with some of the yellow daffodils and yellow flowers in our exhibit to give heightened contrast, heightened interest to that area. So in the corner of our exhibit that's an early successional forest, essentially where it's taking over an abandoned electrical plant, we're highlighting some things like sumacs. So this is a winged sumac that we have not done before. This is Lanham's purple, which again trying to bring out the purple to play off of the yellow color. And we're also doing ferns, so there's one corner that's a very dark, more of a woodland type habitat. So we're doing male fern, Dropteris felix moss. That's another plant that we have never tried before. All right, so with the roots back there, the winged sumac, these are some other sumacs that we're doing. These are tiger's eyes and laciniata, so cutleaf sumacs. It's another early successional native species. Oftentimes you see these growing as weeds along roadways. A lot of people think of them as kind of weedy trash trees. But they serve a purpose in nature as being an early successional species, and there's these really cool cultivars that we're trying to highlight in our exhibit this year. So there's also a small wetland section, small ephemeral stream that we're going to be displaying various wetland and marsh type plants in. So we're doing things like Equisetum hyemale, scouring rush, Juncus effusus, soft rush, and some wetland caryxes like the fox sedge. Things that you see in wetland seeps or areas that stay perpetually moist, especially during the summer.
So I think that the biggest benefit would be if I were to ever go into any sort of commercial kind of plant job, or if I were to, say, do the flower show again, this would be a really good experience.
So when I meet with the designers of the exhibit and start to find plant themes and plant palettes, one of the things we have to look at is what is realistic for us to grow or force in our greenhouse. So are we looking for foliage, or are we looking for flowers, and is that something realistic that we can do? So that would entail spring blooming plants, things that would bloom or leaf out early in the spring.
So I guess for the flower show, with it being such a big, show, everyone around here has heard of it. It's been fun to do it, and I think it's a pretty big kind of title.
Being one of the few exhibitors that force our own plants for the exhibit gives us a lot more flexibility in what plants we can grow. For example, skunk cabbage. There are very few wholesale growers that will force skunk cabbage for you. It also gives our students an opportunity to get the hands-on experience in our greenhouse as well.
So being part of the team really kind of helps take some of the weight off of it, knowing that it's not just you that needs to do everything. There's a whole kind of system to it. Everyone's kind of got their own job.
Since our students have the opportunity to either do directed studies or volunteer opportunities working on the plant side of the flower show. They get hands-on experience working in the greenhouse, problem solving, because obviously things don't always go as planned, working on a tight schedule, and figuring out how to make the best of certain situations. Might not always go as planned.
I hope when they go through, they just have a good time, appreciate all the work that went into it, both plant-wise and architectural-wise.
So when visitors are looking at our exhibit at the flower show, some of the things that we hope they're going to take away are unique plant combinations. So we're doing a lot of contrasting colors this year. How to use both native and non-native, non-invasive species in their landscape to provide heightened color, heightened interest, both for sunny and shady locations.